focus here at heart rate, but also resilience?
Yeah, both. And, people are under a lot of pressure. When you're sitting in a centre like this where you're getting such great care and support, and you know you're going to perhaps drive home later today and not know what you're going to find, then that really does set the anxiety levels running high. We've got young kids here, we've got elderly residents, and but the level of optimism despite the circumstances is quite inspiring, and the way people are just getting around each other. And it's not uncommon. I mean, the Premier and I have walked into many rooms like this in many different places, in many different circumstances, floods, fires, and all sorts of other circumstances, and we see the same thing every time. Australians supporting Australians.
Prime Minister, I've got to ask, the Commissioner has painted a very bleak picture in the coming days, and you made the cabinet level decision about potentially deploying Army reservists. Would it be better to deploy before the event rather than after? What are your thoughts there?
Well, that's not how it works, and I'm not suggesting any changes. I mean, we were simply preparing for any request that might come forward, and indeed if that becomes necessary and there are further things that are required, then of course, and meetings are taking place to that end. But what is important is that the level and resourcing of the delivery of the response by the New South Wales government here is outstanding. And if they needed anything more, I'm sure they would ask. And our support is simply there as a contingency. And the fact that it hasn't needed to be called upon, I think, is a testament to the incredible coordinated support and resource that is coming through, and through the effort that has been led by the Commission, obviously at an operational level. But I've got to say the support from the other state and territory premiers and chief ministers, Gladys, has been great. It's just like, what can we do? How many people can we send you? It was South Australians on the KC 130 out of Adelaide yesterday, and today the Tasmanians have arrived, and they're here from the west, they're here from Queensland, they're here from the ACT, and the Kiwis are here too. There's a few of them, and I'm sure if we needed more, they'd come.
Are you confident that there's enough resources in place to fight the fires?
It's probably best to leave the operational questions to the Commissioner or Gladys.
The simple answer is yes, I am. As I say, we're bolstering up our numbers in anticipation of Tuesday. We are working very closely with the federal government through Emergency Management Australia and the Defence Force. We've got a standing arrangement with the Richmond RAF base, where they're critical to supporting our operation with a large air tanker base. We've also been using them over the last couple of weeks, particularly with the transport and movement of firefighters, to make sure we've got the capability and the capacity where we need it, whether that's domestically here in New South Wales or indeed helping us transport teams from interstate. It's been a critical tool in the firefighting effort, and we're also in discussions at the moment with the capacity and the ability of the Defence Force to see if we can get some additional technological support potentially over coming days and weeks to bolster what we've already got operating here in New South Wales, particularly given the potential spread of the geography from the Queensland border much further south. So we are very mindful of that, which is why we are talking to our colleagues, and we're getting a significant augmentation from Victoria in the next 24 hours. We've already been in contact with our colleagues in Canada and the United States. As you know, for the last decade, we've been regularly sending teams of Australian and New Zealand firefighters over to Canada and the United States to help with firefighting, and the arrangement is that we will reciprocate and help each other when we need to. We're flagging the intent that as we get into the worst of the season, as we get into the summer months, there's every likelihood that we can even draw on that sort of capacity that we've got standing provisions with. So yes, we are working with the resources available. We're increasing those numbers where we think we need to, and I've got absolute unwavering support from the Premier and the Minister and the New South Wales Government to do what we need to do, when we need to do it, and we'll sort out the details thereafter.
Commissioner, there has been a warning standing from the RFS that you may not be able to help everyone who needs help in the coming days. Does that warning still stand?
That warning stands and has been in place as long as I can remember. For decades we have said, time and time again, when you get very dangerous and volatile conditions, no one can guarantee that a fire engine or a firefighter will be at your front door. We simply cannot do it, and you can see the extraordinary events that we experienced here in recent days. Never before have we had 17 concurrent emergency warning fires burning at once, all competing desperately for resources, desperately for support, desperately for assistance. The reality is we simply couldn't get to every individual. Don't get me wrong, we tried our damnedest to get wherever we could, providing it was safe and able to do so, but access was cut off, access was restricted to either the people on the ground or indeed the aircraft in the air. A lot of aircraft were being grounded, the conditions were too volatile, the air was too turbulent, but we will do our very best to save and protect everybody and everything as much as we can.